Hey guys, and welcome to episode 83 of the Garage Athlete Show. We are joined today by Simon. How do I say your surname? Wardrop?
Yeah, war and drop, but just all
Wardrop.
one word.
Yeah. So Simon Wardrop, who is the CEO of Arctic Berg Nutrition. The guys from the Home Gym Group will have probably seen this product. I know I was introduced to it through Jay at the Home Gym Group. He was like, mate, I've got this fucking crazy pre-workout for you to try. So how I know Simon, as I said, it's probably 2 or 3 years ago now. Jay was speaking to Simon, liked him, liked the products that he was doing, let me try some. It was a really good, what's the right word? Dosed pre-workout. Like I was very much in that stage where I was starting to learn about all these different ingredients and why they're in there, and then understanding what clinical doses were. So I was using the product for about a year. I then competed 2 years ago and reached out to probably 5 or 6 different supplement companies about what I, as an athlete, would need to do in order to get a sponsorship. As I said, as I've been using Arctic Bird for a little while, me and Simon had spoken a number of times. He actually offered to take me on as a sponsored athlete. So I am one of the Arctic Bird athletes now. So you guys will find my discount code below this video if you do want to buy anything. So I've wanted to get Simon on for a long time. He's just a very busy man. He's always formulating, always coming up with new products, new ideas. And after being at a couple of expos with him last year, I realized just how clever this guy is when it comes to ingredients. So without further ado, Simon, I've bigged you up quite a bit there. Why don't you
Would love to.
introduce yourself? And like let people know kind of like who you are and how you got into this industry.
Yeah, so hello everybody that's watching. Um, so my interest has been supplements for years and years. Back in, I think it was 2019, the thing that kind of pushed me over the line of I'm going to take this risk and start making some supplements was I went to the Olympia in Vegas. I went to the nice big Olympia Expo, walked around, got to chat to everybody, even Jay Cutler, who's an extremely nice guy, surprisingly. Had a long chat with him. But yeah, so like I ran into a lot of big supplement company owners. I ran into a lot of small supplement company owners, and they pretty much just said, just go for it. Just start a product. Kind of like whatever your first product is, make sure it's half decent. Unlike some Jim Sharkish company that we know launched their first one. Um, so yeah, I worked with so pretty much in 2020, there was a lockdown, so I had some spare time. I worked for a medical devices company. So I used to be in surgical theaters, assisting surgeons and that. But because of lockdown, not much surgery going on, had a lot of time to kill. So I just started doing research, reading clinical papers, trying to get up on the latest kind of what supplements work, what the BS is, dosages, everything like that. I have a friend who actually is a graphics designer in Southampton who literally just started mucking around some kind of label ideas and a lot of back and forth. I have another friend that I have. She does all like she's a food nutritionist. She's kind of up on the latest trends of like citrulline, what dosages you need. She was actually the one that convinced me to not use beta alanine in our version 2 because beta alanine, yeah, it helps a bit with performance, but you need to load it up in your system like
Yeah.
creatine. You need to be taking it every day. She said you could do a separate product, but in a pre-workout, it's kind of useless unless they're like doing a scoop every single day, day after day after day, which
But
I don't even do. You got to take a
I
break
think
every couple of days.
I think a lot of people put the beta alanine in not for the performance enhancing effects, it's for the tingle. It's
Yeah,
so
so
that people
like
can feel something
yeah,
happening, even
your
though that is
ears
not
start.
actually giving them any benefit.
Yeah, like you take it a few minutes later, your ears start tingling and like your lips and your face, and people are like, "Oh my God, it's working! This must be crazy." It's no, unless you're taking it every day for like 7, 10 days, Kind of, it might give you a tiny performance boost, but not really a whole much of anything. We also took taurine out from our version 1 that you originally tried to our version 2. Another study came out that taurine is actually kind of slight sedative effect.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
actually counteracts if you have like a good high dose of taurine, like 2-3 grams. It counteracts some of these stim effects from the caffeine and the other stimulants. So
Right.
taurine, it's a kind of a cell volumizer similar to creatine. But as the taurine level increases, it's going to start messing around with your stim levels. It's going to kind of make it pointless putting those in.
So when did you actually launch um the
Yeah, I got off
first
on a bit of a
Arctic
tangent
Berg?
there.
Yeah, sorry. When did you launch the first Arctic Berg like product? And what was that?
Yes, that was the polar bear juice. I think the very first thing was the strawberry one. That was the kind of the version 1 polar bear juice. That was end of July. I think we did like a very soft launch, so kind of sending it out to people, getting a lot of feedback, figuring out what's going on. So that pretty much lasted like July, August, September-ish. Did quite a soft launch. Um, and then God, it's a while back, it's about 2.5 years ago. And then we kind of I think then after that we did a polar pumped, the original polar pumped, not the one that we have now, but we put creatine in it and a few other ingredients similar to the polar bear juice, but we took the stems out and just added creatine in that. And again, wasn't really the pump product that we wanted, so that's why we've came up with the new ones that we have now. And then after that, we did the mango flavor, and then it was kind of like all not a crazy hard. Like I was still working my other job still, for a good year or so, about a year and a half still after launching the company. It was kind of it was part time running the
Yeah,
Arctic Bird company. I'm still trying to figure stuff out because starting up a company from scratch, there's a lot to figure out. Just the
yeah, I can
insurance,
imagine.
the legalities, and what you're allowed to put on the labels, what claims you're allowed not to, and everything. It's quite a daunting task to figure out.
Is
So
it
yeah, then
similar over here to in the US, as in like every single product has to be like tested before you can kind of like send it out to the general public, or is it literally you can send it out and then the Food Standards Agency has to prove that it's shit, basically?
believe it or not, like the FDA regulates quite heavily American products.
Hmm.
So a lot of them like they'll just pick you up and like random kind of like you need all your paperwork and stuff. We haven't yet, after 2.5 years, had anything checked.
Okay.
So
Nice to see the
I
British legal
yeah, I've
system
talked
is
to
keeping up with those top quality supplements.
yeah. So in this, I'm like in the UK,
Hmm.
you don't legally, in any way, shape, or form, have to have any of your supplements verified before you start selling them.
Oh
They
wow,
just
okay.
they can't. There's a very, believe it or not, very short list of banned ingredients like DMAA that cause
Yeah,
like coronary. It's a great stimulant, but it caused coronary like arterial constriction,
yeah.
and that was giving Marines heart attacks and stuff when they're on deployment. So
Isn't
there's
that
a
what was in the original Jack 3D?
yeah, it's called a DMAA. We
Right,
found a product called Juglans, which is a DMHA.
right.
It does the same kind of stimulant effect, not as powerful, but it's not going to mess with your like circulatory system, give you a heart attack.
Okay,
And it's
that's good
also
to
it's
know.
from the English walnut tree. It's like a bark extract. Um,
Right,
but yeah, to get supplements, kind of, there's not any actual there's the government guidelines of on your tub you have to have the formula, you have to have all the allergies listed, you have to have all
right,
the contact information. You can't make outrageous claims, like your claims have to be based on what the actual ingredients can do.
right,
But it's more of a regulatory agency in the UK for labels, but the actual powders themselves, um yeah, like a company could ship them in from Asia, not test them, put them in their pre-workouts straight out the door to customers, and there's no safety measures in between to stop this.
oh wow, okay. So leading kind of like on to the next point, the next thing I kind of like wanted to cover was like how, as a consumer, like what are some like red flags to look out for like the whole pre-workouts market is just it seems to be such a wild west. You go back 15 years, nobody knew what a pre-workout was. Whereas if you go into a supplement store now, their biggest section is going to be whey protein and then pre-workouts. So what are some things that people should be looking out for when it comes to these products? What are some like red flags to avoid?
I'd say anything that has a banned ingredient in it,
Yeah.
because there's not many blending companies. Like we use a really nice blending company that's actually based in Northern Ireland to help us batch mix everything on a very large scale to keep our costs down. Sometimes we can send ingredients to them and they'll mix it. Sometimes it was a hard ingredient to get. I'll work with them up there and they'll get the ingredient in for me, and then they'll send it to me, and we'll kind of like do a lot of the formulation down here, and then they'll large scale it up for us.
Right.
They can do 1,000 tubs in a day if we need to. Like they can really scale it up. And for us to buy that kit right now would probably cost about 80 grand.
Yeah.
So for them, it costs them an extra £1 a tub.
Yeah.
Like for them just to blend it for us, which is a lot easier than spending 80, 90 grand on a mixing machine. But what they do is like you want to look for companies, like if you really want, ask the company, do they mix it in-house? Do they use one of these large mixing companies? So like the one we use, I won't say who it is. But when they mix it, they actually, anything they get in for us, they quality check it. So they heavy metal test it, they purity check it. If I want, they'll send me all the reports to make sure that if we're getting something from Germany or Asia or anything, that it is 99% purity, what we're asking for.
Right.
So like I have all these kind of like lovely graphs and everything of all the purity spectrum and all that of all the ingredients we have. So I make sure that everything that we get is legit. And then if I need to order, say like, I don't know, like 150 kilos of citrulline, there's a company in the UK called Cambridge Commodities, and they're a wholesaler. So I can buy 150, 200 kilos off them. So there are a lot of these big companies that we deal with that do all the quality control for us. So everything is legit. We get all the reports and it's all safe for the customers. If you look at some smaller companies, I won't name them. It's like, I'm not sure if they get in trouble for me even naming them, but some of them have like actual DMAAs in them.
Right.
If you look at the ingredients, it'll say like DMAA. Well, that's banned, and there's no legit blending company in this country that's going to risk on a pre-workout blending something for you that's a banned ingredient.
Right.
So also like say Yohimbine, right?
Yeah.
Yohimbine's
banned in this country as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you look at like a fat burner or like a supplement that has that in it, and it says manufactured in the UK, they're either mixing it in some shady warehouse or it's not actually manufactured in the UK, because like you can buy that from France. In France, it's legit. But Yohimbine in this country is, I believe, what they use it for is for veterinary care. When an animal's coming out of being anesthetized, it kind of helps bring them back around.
Right.
So yeah, even like melatonin. If you look at a sleep product, it says like made in the UK and it's got melatonin in it. Again, it's not illegal to have, but it's illegal to make and it's illegal to sell.
Yeah. Which
So
is it's interesting that, as you said, like those you've picked three very prominent ingredients within the fitness industry, whereas there's no regulation in terms of what's going into your supplements in the UK, but you've got those three ingredients that are available in Europe or available in America, but the ingredients themselves are banned, but they're not doing anything to test these products before they're going out to the consumer. So if somebody wants to use that product, they then have to use some shady warehouse that means that the quality of what they're doing, like they might not even be getting in that pre-workout what they think they're getting because they
Yeah,
can't use a reputable mixer to be able to do that.
yeah, and if they get reported to the government, well, they're getting in trouble. Whoever made it for them's getting in trouble. It's all very hush hush, quiet, quiet, and
Yeah,
yeah, like whoever's making these products is well not doing it legally.
fair
If it's
enough.
getting made
That's
in this country. If you're
yeah.
importing it for sale, like there's a lot of American products, like Redcon, I've tried it, they've got a sleep product that knocks you out because it's got like 5 milligrams
Melatonin.
of melatonin in it.
Yeah, I've tried Redcon's sleep product. It does work very well. However, like the thing with melatonin is you're not meant to take it long term. So
Yeah,
it's fine, like at times of high stress or like when you're deep into a prep.
it
But if
changes your
you're
hormones.
yeah,
It's
if
it's
well
a hormone in itself. It messes with your hormones if you take it a long time.
yeah. Cool. So we kind of covered you getting started, your first couple of products. Like, when did you decide to kind of go like all in on the supplements industry? Like, I know you no longer worked for that medical company. Like, when was it? What was it that made you go? You know what? I 100% believe in this. I'm going all in and put all your eggs in that basket.
It was early 2022.
Okay.
So we had the Welsh Fit Expo lined up. We had the Arnold Expo lined up. Probably had 30 odd gym visits lined up. I'm thinking I can't do all this and have a full-time job. So it's kind of that moment that believe it or not, sat down with the wife. She's got a prominent career, so that does help alleviate the pressure.
Hmm.
But yeah, we just sat down and had a chat and said, do I want to go all in and like do this full time with the help of a few other people that are helping me too with the shipping, the packing, and kind of expand the company, invest more money into it, take out some loans, make it bigger, get a bigger warehouse, and just went, you know what? I'm only living once.
Yeah. And
So
it
it's
seemed,
one of
but
those like, screw it, I'm doing it.
yeah. Well, from what I've seen, the company and the brand is just going from strength to strength because of the quality of the products. Like, as I said, I was first attracted to this product because I was doing my own research about ingredients and clinical doses. And what I noticed was like the cheaper end pre workouts, you looked at everything and they were underdosed. So they were cheap because you'd have to use 2 or 3 scoops to be getting enough of the product to be having an effect, which then made them actually more expensive than when you paid for the premium product that had the right doses in, but you then only ever need to use 1 scoop.
The other thing that drives me a little bit insane is when I see like there's one or two like companies based in the UK that are quite large companies and they market as kind of like the leaders in supplements and that. And their products there like 32, 33 pounds. And if I was to look at a 32, 33 pound, 34-pound pre-workout, it better blow my socks off. It better make me feel like superhuman. And when I look at it and I compare it to our product, there's similarities in maybe 40% of the ingredients, but that's where they stop. Like they only have 40% of the ingredients that we put in ours. And then we've got all these extra ingredients, but yet they're charging well over 30 pounds. And the
Yeah.
reason they do that is because they kind of built their name up as a like trusted, reputable company. They got a few good things out there. Like I've seen a couple companies do this, and yet industry right now within the supplement community. I've looked at about 2 weeks ago. I decided to have a look at about 15 different companies that are selling within the UK. Every single one of them, their pre-workouts, like not counting like the cheaper ones, um, but like the ones that are trying to be like good quality
Premium,
on
yeah.
that, premium ones, and they were all over 31 to 35 pounds, and they, they're like I could probably make those for 12 quid.
Yeah.
That's
So there's a
including
big
that.
markup in it.
Yeah, and it's just like so the customer is paying three times the original, like, or two times added on to what it costs to make it. And I look at it and I go, it's not really that great. I'm
Hmm.
like, so like what we did was we tried to make something that was a premium product, but keep the like realistic price of, yeah, we want to make profit, we want to like pay all our overheads and everything, the warehouse, but we're not gonna screw people over.
Yeah. So it's a you're making a smaller margin, but you know that one, because it's affordable, people are going to keep coming
Yeah,
back because it's a good quality product. And at the end of the day, with something like supplements, where like I'm not being funny, I go through a tub of pre-workout. What is it, 25? Is it 25 or 30 servings in your tubs?
25.
In 25 servings, that's 4 or 5 weeks because I train 5 days a week.
Yeah,
So, like once a month, once every 6 weeks, I'm going to need a new tub. Whereas when I find a product that is affordable and I know it works, it's not just relying on a massive amount of caffeine. So I'm not having to, over the course of that tub, go from using one scoop all the way up to using 3 scoops to be able to get the same effect.
yeah,
Then I'm going to stick with that because I know it works and it's affordable. Whereas I know when I was taking pre workouts before, each time I had one, I was like a frigging stim junkie because it had stopped working after a
yeah,
while. And then I'd go, well, what's right? I'm going to try a new formula and see if that works. And then I'd take that for like 2, 3 months. And then I'd want a different pre workout. And I'd just keep trying all these different ones. Whereas I know with Arctic, I use one scoop of each product. If I'm training during the day, I'll use one scoop of pump and pump uh, the pump agent when I train at night, and they work.
yeah, answer.
So I'm not going to mess. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. I think because I'm now, well, because I'm bodybuilding, it's very much I want it to be as predictable as I can make it. So I'm going to kind of keep using those. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's
I've
very
also noticed
interesting. Oh,
too
sorry,
that
carry on.
the premium ones, the ones that are like even kind of upping their, not the quality of ingredients, they're just like upping their stim levels. They'll put like 400 grams of caffeine in, and then some other product that guarana extract that's like 22% caffeine and stuff. They've even lowered the dosages, a lot of these now, to 20 servings.
Hmm.
And yes, it's a weird industry kind of trend now that there's the lower kind of dose ones that are a little bit of creatine, a little bit of citrulline, that are usually around 22, 23 pounds. But they're like very like super entry level. And then it kind of jumps from like super entry level from like low 20s to usually low 30s. So there's like there
Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot in between. And even
Yeah.
the low 30 ones, like some of them are doing crazy, like 20 servings and throwing a bunch of stims in. And so we wanted to fit, we wanted to take
In
the
the middle.
premium ingredients, but bring it down to the kind of the moderate level for price, where there's
Yeah.
really not a whole lot of people sitting in there. Because they either
Yeah.
want tons of profit from making something that costs £6 to make, or they want a ton of profit from something that costs £12 to make, and there's like nothing in between. So when we were looking at pricing and ingredients, we decided we're aiming for that spot where nobody's really sitting.
And that's just what you need to do at the end of the day. You've identified a gap in the market and it seems to be working. I'm sure there'll be people, you'll have copycat people that are just going to end up pretty much copying your labels. But the advantage, obviously, with having somebody like yourself who does read the research, you get your products made locally. I say locally, it's in Northern Ireland, but it's still within the
Yeah,
UK.
like some stuff we get from Cambridge Commodities,
Yeah.
some stuff we do in house, and then some stuff if we need like a quick big batch made, we the guys north of us. So it's kind of like I put like on the label it's made in Great Britain. We have our like law address and stuff that we use for insurance purposes, what the address is on the label. When it says made in Great Britain, it's literally like
Yeah.
a lot of
Whereas I
places who
know
make a product.
a lot of companies will outsource that stuff to Europe or even South Africa, um, which then means that because they've then got that massive lead time, they want to make any changes to their panel, it's a fucking ball ache to do because they
Yeah.
can do it in the science room, but then the logistics of actually getting what they
Yeah.
want sent
Yeah.
to where they're making it, them to get it right, then for them to make a whole new batch of that stuff and ship it to the UK, because you have to stick it on a container. So you don't really want a container with a few thousand tubs. You're going to want hundreds of thousands of that thing. So it's just easier not to make those changes and stay at that cutting edge. So that kind of leads me into the next thing I kind of wanted to go over, which I know you've got a couple of new products coming out this year. You've just released one called Chryo Shred. So I'm going to share my screen so that everyone can see. Had this opened, like here's one I prepared earlier. So we've got Chryo Shred, which is a weight loss catalyst. I'm glad you've not called it a what's it called, a fat burner, because over-the-counter
Oh,
fat
it's
burners
like
aren't real.
it's not really just a fat burner because this
Yeah,
helps. It's like a 360 method of helping you lose weight.
perfect. So as I said, in terms of like fat burner, I'm very skeptical on them. Like all the stuff that I've read has very much been basically, unless it's your Himbine, it's mostly just a massive caffeine pill. And
Yeah,
all it
most
does is it
are.
suppresses your appetite and then makes you want to move a bit more. So the only time I would ever normally use one of these, as I said, the arse end of prep, where I've been dieting for 20, 25 weeks, energy's low, but activity needs to stay high. You'd have a fat burner, as they call them, first thing in the morning. It means you get up and you move around a bit more. So you're still burning through energy, but again, you can't have them after lunchtime. So what I wanted to go through with you today is through the ingredients that are in here, why you've put them in here, and what, as I said, makes this different to just one of those off-the-shelf fat burners that we know is a bit of bullshit.
Yeah, if you yeah, there you go on the ingredients. So what we did is we looked at what people need help in doing. So there's a few things. There's the kind of like the slight suppressing of appetite. There's the get up and move. There's the if you eat carbs, how's your body going to absorb it? And there's the thermogenics part of it too, of kind of warming your body up. And one of them involves white fat and brown fat. I'm not sure if you've ever
Okay.
heard those terms.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just why people jump in ice baths, isn't it? They think it's going to stimulate their
yeah,
brown fat.
it's good for like, I guess it shocks the body. It's supposed to be good for the immune system, good
Yeah.
for swelling and inflammation. But so each one has a TM next to it, the trademark. Some are registered trademarks and other
Yeah.
ones. Each one of those, if somebody really wants to get into researching it, each one of those belongs to a company. So they're not like products that we came up with or anything. Like InnoSlim, CapsiMax, Pro GBB, Grains of Paradise, which is paradoxine, and Astrogen. They're all kind of like actual companies that own these. So each one of them is almost like belongs to a different company that
Right.
we,
So they've got the patents on it. Like
yeah,
it's like, what is it? Like Chryo Max is
Remax.
a
Yeah.
company that, well, it's a specific creatine, but Chryo Max, they've got a patented blend of
They
whatever it is. So
it's the process of making it is what they've
yeah.
patented pretty much, of
Okay.
like they change it and it helps absorb quicker and easier into the body. So it's the process that they've manipulated to do
Yeah.
what they want it to do. So InnoSlim, so that's what it does. It's a glucose kind of management system. So when you eat carbs in that, it helps regulate your like glucose levels in your body. So you're not getting those like crazy carb spikes that affect
Okay.
your insulin. So just one part, it also kind of like decreases your appetite a bit. But there's actually a
Okay.
lot of that's probably the one that's got the most clinical studies on it is InnoSlim. Most of it is it's to do with raising your metabolism, controls the way your body absorbs the carbohydrates instead of like funneling them in and like, oh, they're going to go to fat quickly. It helps regulate them in energy expenditure instead of your body storing them as fat.
Okay.
It kind of
Would that be, like, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, a quick question. Would that be safe for somebody who's like diabetic to use, or is that going to interfere with what they're
no,
doing?
what it'll do is like with diabetic people, they don't want that insulin spike, right?
Yeah.
They take insulin, they want to keep their insulin levels kind of like with the insulin monitor, you want to keep it as level as possible. So
Yeah.
InnoSlim would actually help them do that because it will
Okay.
kind of prevent those insulin spikes. It's just one of the studies I've read on their website. And then, yeah, it just helps to kind of boost and speed up your metabolism a bit, helps control your appetite. So it does a few varying different things without causing any stimulation effect.
Okay.
Below that, obviously, we got the caffeine. It's about a large
Yeah.
cup of coffee. That's
Yeah, I
the
was going to say that's not a crazy dose of caffeine. Like I've
no, it's a
taken
large
fat
coffee.
burners that are like 750 grams of caffeine on top
Yeah,
of the rest of the caffeine that you're having for the rest of the day. I think I took a fat burner and one of your pre-workouts
that was
when I was in
crazy.
prep, and literally I felt like I was going to die. I think
Yeah, that
it
was
worked out as about a gram and a half of caffeine in the space of about 2 hours. So
yeah, insane. Like
yeah,
the
don't
human
advise anybody do
body,
that.
I believe, I'm just trying to recall figures. I think the human body can handle about 2 grams of caffeine in 24 hours, something like that, as
Yeah,
recommended by doctors.
yeah, as in don't go over that. Do not do
Yeah,
a
you might have a heart
word to the
attack.
wise, like public safety notice, do not do a gram and a half of caffeine in this.
Oh,
I genuinely thought I was going to die.
you have
Um,
quite the crash at the end of that.
Oh, I was literally laid on the floor and my daughter was going, Daddy, are you okay? I think I picked her up from nursery and I was just laid on. I had to be laid up with my feet up, like so my blood pressure was keeping all right. And for at least an hour, I was like, no. We're just gonna
Caffeine
sit
creates
here,
that. Yeah,
watch some
caffeine creates that
CBeebies and
slight.
chill.
Yeah, caffeine creates that slight constriction of your blood vessels there.
Mm,
So your blood pressure can go right up.
yeah.
Um, so theobromine, I'm not sure if you heard of that or how many people have that. It's kind of some people put it in pre-workouts. It's pretty much expands like one study says that it expands your blood vessels. So it just creates better blood flow. So because caffeine creates a bit of constriction of your blood vessels. So if you're on the treadmill, say and you're like running for 20 minutes, you want as much blood flowing kind of from your lungs to the rest of the body. So if you just have
Mhm.
a whole bunch of caffeine, usually because of that slight constriction, you're not gonna have as rate of blood flow. So like your blood pressure is gonna go up, and that's from everything kind of tightening up a
Yeah.
bit. So theobromine is supposed to widen all your blood vessels, so you get like a little bit better blood flow. So if you're on the treadmill, I find, or if I'm doing like 20 minutes of hard cardio, hit cardio, I just breathe better when I have theobromine. So that's kind of it is a slight stimulant effect too. There is a very subtle stimulant effect similar to caffeine. There's not like a jittery effect. It's more of a kind of a little bit of an energy boost. Doesn't give you the shakes or the craziness that caffeine does. So those two kind of work together. Capsimax. So that is a capsaicin extract. So what they did with Capsimax is they encapsulated, kind of the word capsi is the encapsulation of the capsaicin extract that they got. And so, like when you kind of swallow it and the pill dissolves in your stomach, if you're taking pure capsaicin extract without it, like help of kind of like something encapsulating it, it can cause a lot of acid reflux and like burning sensation in your stomach.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
not a very pleasant experience for some people. Like I don't have an issue with it, but I know some people that if they have pure capsaicin extract, they'll get like ridiculous heartburn and everything. So
Right.
Capsimax, they've done a way of like a nice way of encapsulating this very potent capsaicin extract. So it goes into your stomach, passes from your stomach without causing that kind of acid reflux or any of that nastiness. And then it just gets absorbed nicely. Um, so Capsimax, it's mostly a metabolism booster, and as it like as it increases your metabolism, it's also quite a strong thermogenic property to it. So taking Capsimax, about 100 milligrams, you're gonna find about 20 minutes to half an hour after that, you're gonna be kind of going on the treadmill, and you're almost gonna feel like a warmth to your skin, and
Right.
then you're just gonna start sweating buckets.
Right. Okay.
It's like it's your body warming up, even like a point, like not a whole degree, but even a point of a degree, um,
when the blood's
gonna,
already flowing, it's just going to make the sweat like come
yeah,
off
so
more.
it's gonna warm your, so it's not an outside source warming your body up. It's your own body warming itself up, creating that thermogenic property. For your body just to warm up like 0.1, 0.2 of a degree, you're burning an extra like I think one of the studies said it was like people just take it without exercising 100 milligrams. That was all these kind of Capsi Max, Pro GBB, Grains of Paradise. Those are all the clinical dose that they have on the website. So when they
Right,
studied it with people, Capsi Max, it was at 100 milligrams.
right.
Some companies might put like 200 or 300 milligrams, but there's no known effect what that much dosage would have on the body because it wasn't studied at that dose. So it could actually be
Yeah,
doing some damage.
yeah. As you said, it's
There's no
best to keep kind of
clinical
those
study.
clinical. Yeah,
Yeah. So like Capsimat, so like yeah, even going up that 0.2 of a degree for a temporary change, it was increasing people's calorie expenditure by it was like 2 to 220 calories over the course of a day, just by
nice.
taking Capsimax, which is quite a lot when you think about it.
Yeah, and that's
So
not, as you said, that's not then factoring in, right? So most people, when they're going to do this, they're probably going to, if they're doing AM fasted cardio, they're probably going to pop however many it is. I haven't looked at the bottle yet. A few of
two,
those, two of those with their probably not with their caffeinated pre-workout. Probably going to put that in there as a little
enough
disclaimer.
caffeine. You don't
Pardon?
need it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you were gonna, as you said, maybe have the two of those and maybe use the pump agent because it's going to help with blood flow.
Yeah, like the pump agent's good because it helps with blood flow, but it also hyperhydrates the muscles.
Yeah,
So if you're
which means
drinking
if you're
like
sweating more, then it's going to
yeah,
help you with. Yeah, okay, makes sense.
it helps you hold on to pretty much your fluids a little bit better. So even if
Okay,
your body kind of heating up and it wants to sweat, you don't want to sweat
yeah,
everything out because well, your electrolytes are just getting sweated out, your salts, and
yeah.
potentially you could be dehydrating yourself.
So what about the Pro GBB?
So that is a extract from carnitine.
Yeah.
So usually you need carnitine at, I don't know, it's like a gram and a half, something like that.
Hmm.
Um, what this does is this is an extract from carnitine, and you only need a very small amount. That's why it's only 50 milligrams, and it just raises your carnitine levels
That's
in your
interesting.
body as much as taking like 1.5, 2 grams, but it does it quicker.
And the thing
Uh,
with L-carnitine as well is in the studies they were finding you were having to take it with carbohydrate. So if this delivers, so for those of you that don't know, L-carnitine is a transport hormone for in your mitochondria, and basically it shuttles free fatty acids to the mitochondria to be able to use as an energy source. But it's also a transport protein within utilizing carbohydrates as an energy source. So what often happens is when you're doing cardio, especially as the level of intensity increases, it's your body's ability to regulate its carnitine levels, which is what is going to shift you from utilizing carbohydrates as an energy source or using free fatty acids as an energy source. So if there's a way to increase the amount of carnitine that you have, in theory, you should be able to burn fat at a slightly higher exertion level where you would normally switch across to
yeah,
carbohydrate. So I get to be the sciencey guy now.
yeah.
And yeah, sorry, carry on.
So yeah, so it's the so the
We're on to
sorry.
citrus or oranitinium.
Yeah, good luck. It's basically it's bitter orange extract.
Bitter orange,
Um,
yeah. You see that in a
so
number
bitter
of
orange
different products.
extract. It's not the strongest metabolism booster, but it is a it's supposed to boost your metabolism and have a very slight thermogenic effect. So
Okay.
like you add kind of like the bitter orange extract to the Capsi Max, and then you also add that to the Grains of Paradise. You're talking about like different like levels of
Yeah.
thermogenics. When you add them all together, that's why taking two of these pills, you're going to be warming up. You're going to be sweating like crazy because each one of these is kind of hitting your
Doing
thermogenics in a slightly different fashion.
yeah, it's hitting all the different receptors, etc. So rather than trying to burrow your way through one particular pathway. You're trying to stimulate all these different pathways that are, yes, each one individually might be just doing like 1% here, 1% there. But when you add all these ingredients together, it has that cumulative effect without it being overpowering.
Yeah. And then, so we got that, and we got Grains of Paradise. So Grains of Paradise, that's from, it's 12.5%. It's Paradol. I think it's like a dash sticks is what it's called, but it's Paradoxine. It's one of the ones on the front. So that's supposed to be another form of energy. It's supposed to help suppress appetites. That's another version of thermogenics. And again, by using thermogenics, that's all kind of raising your metabolism. So you got a few different products in there that will raise your metabolism, a few different products that will create that thermogenic effect. You've got at the top, you've got the InnoSlim, which is going to help control how your body deals with carbohydrates. And then, so you kind of, and then you got the theobromine that's going to help kind of dilate your blood vessels. So if you're doing exercise or you're kind of doing like a HIIT intense workout at the gym, so you're not getting out of breath. You got the caffeine, for everybody knows caffeine is a slight stimulation. And then at the very end, you've got estrogen. So estrogen, two nice things about estrogen, it's gut health. So it's actually supposed to promote gut health, kind of. So if you got any issues with taking any of these, it's supposed to kind of calm your stomach and promote positive gut health. And then it helps the absorption. So estrogen, it's almost it makes what your body can't absorb easily. It helps each product to be absorbed by your intestines. So it kind of almost increases its bioavailability of most products. One example would be, not on this, but like the strongest evidence. Well, we put estrogen in absolutely everything, but the strongest one would be citrulline. If you have regular citrulline by itself, say you're taking 10 grams of it, you'll probably only be able to absorb somewhere between 5 and 6 grams.
Right.
Properly. You take it with estrogen, estrogen allows your body to actually absorb up to 90% of the citrulline that you're taking. So you're able to absorb between 9 and 9.5 grams of it. It's the same with creatine. You take estrogen with creatine, kind of ramp up the level that your body can actually absorb and use without, I guess, peeing it out, the bits that you don't want.
Yeah. Awesome. Right. So I think you've covered all the ingredients there. We'll go back to stop and share. So yeah, have I stopped sharing? You can just see me now. Yeah. So yeah, definitely I'm going to be starting prep in a few weeks' time. I think late February, early March. So I will probably be adding that into my prep routine. So if anybody wants to know kind of what it feels like, message me in March, around March, April 2023, and I will definitely give you my honest opinion of the product. So before we kind of wrap things up, is there anything kind of like you want to announce in terms of like upcoming products that people should be looking out for, or are you wanting to keep things a little bit more quiet?
Actually, no, it's fine. So we're just like, we've got our sleep product. We've knocked up about 40 of them. So we're kind of like still slightly playing around with the ingredients. So that one will hopefully come out relatively soon. We're just trying to figure out what we need to decrease one ingredient, maybe increase a bit another ingredient to try to. We want the sleep product to be it's like cortisol management. So it manages your stress hormones.
Yeah.
We want part of it to be a sedative, and then we want another part of it to actually 2 parts for your actual sleep. So one of there's a few different ingredients that can do it, but one part will increase the quality of your non-REM sleep. So if you're a very light sleeper and you wake up quickly, you can actually still benefit from a lot of kind of recovery with certain ingredients. Kind of makes that, just increases the quality of that kind of light sleep that a lot of people can't really get the REM sleep. And then there's a few other products or ingredients that we're looking at to take you from that kind of that light level sleep and put you in deep REM sleep. So we're just kind of back and forth with that. one other thing too is that I'm looking at either releasing another flavor of the polar bear juice,
Okay.
or on the flip side, I've been looking at for about 2 months now, working on the formulas for a blackout version of the polar bear. So it'd be literally a black and silver tub, but it would be more expensive. So you are looking at the probably 32 pound price range,
Okay.
but strength wise, it will probably compete with the strongest on the market out of any country.
Okay. So you're going proper high. The like that's just making me think of, oh, what's the name of it? Tasted like crap, but like ingredients wise, it was amazing. Had a dog on the front of it. That's the first thing that's kind of come into my mind. Dark side, that's it.
Yeah, it'll be stronger than that, what we've been
Oh
working
wow.
on.
Okay. Well, Jay will love that, and as his trainer, I will be like, no, stay away from it. Stop it.
Yeah,
Stop going
but
for the
yeah,
really
we're
high
on
stim
the
stuff.
fence what to do first. Another flavor of polar bear, or launch this, probably do like a limited launch of like 250 tubs just to see how it goes.
Yeah,
Of this like absolutely ridiculous. Like if I tell everybody, if you're spending over 30 pounds on a pre-workout, it's
it
better to
should be
like
ridiculous.
blow your
Blow your
socks
socks
off
off.
and kind of like make you feel like you're a god for the next
Yeah.
hour and a half. And so that's what we're aiming for with the formula, is literally
Okay.
it's knock your socks off, give you so much energy that you're gonna go bench press a car kind of thing.
This sounds great. Even if I have to pay for this, I want a tub of this when this comes out. So let me know
That's
when it's coming out.
that's kind of the question that I'm going to be putting out on social media too, is people want another flavor, or do they want more expensive product, probably about 4 or 5 pounds, but
Mm,
it's gonna be that like only for advanced users, 18 plus warning label,
yeah.
do not double scoop this, like we're not legally liable kind of warning label type.
Right. Okay. Well, when that's ready to launch, definitely put that into the home gym group. There's some big stim junkies in there, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
it will
people
send.
will be willing to. Pardon?
Oh yeah, the other thing is with the fat burner, I forgot I was mentioned white and brown fat.
Oh yeah.
Um, so one of the other benefits of the fat burner is the ingredient. It I'm not sure how to explain it quickly. So everybody has white and brown fat. The
Hmm.
more white fat you have, white fat is a lot harder to get rid of. So in guys, usually that's your like belly fat.
Mm.
Brown fat, your body is actually, without too much effort, able to use brown fat for energy. It's one of
Mm.
those that it's an energy storage for your body is brown fat. So what the cryo shred does is, between two of the ingredients, is it takes that white fat and it actually starts to convert it, kind of like put it towards the brown fat. It's not like it actually looks white fat and brown fat, like super
Mm.
contrast. But it actually takes the white fat and starts changing the white fat structure into a brown fat. And that way your
Right.
body can actually mobilize the fat, use it
Yeah.
for energy. And that's kind of way out for a guy, how you get rid of that stomach fat if you've got a lot of stomach fat.
Yeah. That's cool because, as you said, the brown fat's the stuff that's got a better blood supply. That'll be for those guys that have those problem areas, which is the bits
Yeah,
where, like, no
kind of
matter how much they
mobilize
diet, it doesn't seem to
that.
come off.
That's because, yeah, if it's not coming off, like there's no way without chemical help to change that white fat into, like, people do the cold bath thinking that
Mm.
it's going to mobilize fat. It doesn't really do that. It definitely helps with like recovery, any inflammation. It's good for the immune system. But to take the white fat, convert it into brown fat, and then you can actually start burning as energy if you're in a
Mm.
calorie deficit. You need supplementation help to do that. So again, that's one of the things that the cryo shed is able to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So, if the guys want to come and try out some of your products, want to see you on social media or anything like that, where's the best place that they can find you, Simon?
Um, if they like, we're mostly around Wales for like actually doing like sampling and everything. But yeah, like if they want to pop in, there's KTM Nutrition, they're kind of England way. We've got a few other products going out to different shops. Pretty much a lot of gyms in Wales. We've just kind of been like slowly branching out, go across the bridge this year. Um, yeah, like I'm on the fence about which expos we're gonna do this year. So we're
Mhm.
kind of still thinking about that. But if anybody wants to try it, yeah, there's the sample pack online. If they actually
Yeah.
go to the Arctic Berg website, they can just literally it's £3. It's a pound per serving. We pay the shipping, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're
So
gonna
the links to the Arctic Berg website, as well as the social media pages, I'll pop them into the description on whatever platform you guys are watching this.
yeah, because like we're also gonna run samples of the fat burner. So that way if they want to feel the thermogenic, because the thermogenic effect and the energy you feel, that's one of those things with the fat burner that you go fat like loss catalyst. I shouldn't call it a fat burner because it's not just a fat burner. Like most of the big brands out there. Um, like so yeah, if like we'll probably do a 2-day sample in that one. So we'll put 4 pills in it. So that way you can take it 2 days back to back because then it kind of builds on itself and you get the full thermogenic feel. So we'll be doing that probably towards the end of next week, so people can go and try the fat burner as well, or the fat loss catalyst.
Nice.
And then yeah, so pretty much we're gonna put on social media a questionnaire if people want new flavor or absolutely insane energy and pump. I have a
So yeah,
feeling I know what
when
people
that
are gonna.
goes up, make sure you tag me in the story, and I'll share it across to be driving some people to it.
Yeah, and then after that, it will be finishing up the sleep product, launch the sleep product. I'll send you secretly what we have so far. You can
Okay.
try a tub of it. 'Cause I've got a bunch of tubs done so far. It's not the final formula, but it's
Yeah.
almost there. Almost there.
Almost there. Awesome. Right. So it's been great to have you on today, Simon, to get to know you and the business a little bit better. It was really cool to kind of run through the new product and kind of like how that works, and also get a bit of an insight in where the business is heading over the next year or so. So thank you for all your time, dude, and I will speak to you again soon.
No worries.